Hey everybody, Steve Burton here at Scale to Sell. This is our platform to educate business owners on both growing your business and then when it's your time to exit the business, whether it's internal exit, external exit, we help out and have teammates to do just that. This is episode 38, and we're going to be talking about how your team could benefit from workplace financial education. I tell my own story. When I went to school, I think there was never a class on money. There was classes on math and biology. I make the joke that frog I dissected in 10th grade has really paid off for me every year since then, but understanding mortgages, cash flow, opportunity costs, taxation, and how just a lot of different things work. It's not really being taught. It's starting to be taught a little bit, but it's still not to my liking. So what we've done at Scale to Sell is that we started sharing workplace education through the employer. Because once you get out of school, what do you learn? Some of you do, most of you don't. So what we try to do right here is educate your employees. Why should you care? You, the employer, why should you care? Studies have shown that the better educated people are about their money, the less stressed they are, less likelihood they are to leave your team and go down the road and work for another nickel an hour because they think that's the answer to all their problems. And really, they had and needed a basic, better understanding. Today, our guest is James Blanton. We're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce him here in a second, let him tell you a little bit about him and the program that we have. But James, welcome to the call.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
No doubt, no doubt. So your background is, in the program that you guys have got put together is being taught at some different universities around. And you, your dad, and the people on your team or whatever have put together a pretty strong program that if you get colleges, some of these big name colleges that adopt this as a platform, I thought the same thing. I said, well, hey, if they're adopting it there, what about the people that are already out of college? And so what better place to do it than the workplace? But a little bit about your background and about a little bit about the program, and we'll go down through it a little bit and why it's so important and other things. But a little bit about your background first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a household with a father who was involved in financial services very, very early. He started off as an advisor, and as an advisor, when it became incumbent upon him to sit in front of a client and start explaining some of these financial concepts and selling some of these financial products and trying to explain why he was recommending that they purchase these products, he sort of found that there was a lot for him as an advisor that was sort of product knowledge, allow him to address the product, but not really anything that would allow him to address the education of the people that he was going to sell the products to. And he saw a big problem with that. And wanting to resolve that issue, he started a company called Money Tracks Incorporated in 1994. Since then, over the last 30 plus years, he has been developing that program. It's financial tools for financial advisors. It's a software suite of calculators and storyboards that financial advisors utilize to explain these concepts to their clients and educate their clients about the reality of what it is that they're dealing with their everyday financial decisions. So I've had the opportunity to work with him in a number of roles over the years for that company. I studied finance myself in college, and my dad's over here doing this, and I'm studying finance in college, and he's walking by, I got 6 pages of, math problems written out. And he's like, son, when are they going to teach you anything that's worth knowing? I said, I don't know. I hadn't seen it yet. But he spent much of his career focused on delivering the message of what people actually need to know in order to be successful with the financial decisions that they're making on an everyday basis. And we haven't done the best job of teaching that in the past. So during COVID, we founded a new company called PemLife to address that issue specifically, to take some of these concepts and the knowledge that we were training advisors to parlay to their clients and going directly into classrooms, helping teachers in the classroom to deliver some of this same content, preparing students at a much younger age to be prepared to make efficient financial decisions when they start out there in the workforce.
Yeah, that's a really strong one. Don Blanton, James' dad, is he's kind of a rock star. You don't know that if you're not in the financial services industry, but he still trains thousands of financial services professionals out there, but now trying to carry it to the end user. He's very fond of saying a lot of times, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so in the PemLife model, the personal economic model, and what I have access to as a financial advisor is things like the mortgage master, educating people about amortized loans versus compounded interest, opportunity cost. But there's also things like retirement ready or not, the spending game at a more high level, retirement planning strategies. But just to get the basic knowledge out there to people, but a little bit about PEM, the personal economic model, and what's being taught now at some of these colleges. James, if you don't mind.
Sure. So one of the tools that was developed over that 30 plus years, it was kind of later in the game when the personal economic model came along. The thing you have to understand about my dad is he's always thinking about how to explain what's in his brain to others in a way that makes sense. And what kind of came out of that internal process ended up being the personal economic model, which is an interactive canvas. We've got sliders, we've got tanks, and it allows us to kind of map what happens with your earned income throughout your personal economic model between when you earn it and when it's spent and gone forever, or when it is put away for your future. And really the overarching principle that we want students to understand, and anyone who engages with our personal finance curriculum, is to understand that we have a very limited, finite amount of resources, financial resources, to solve all of our financial problems, not only for today, but also for our future as well. And being able to balance the dollars that we spend on our current lifestyle desires with those dollars that we put away in preparation for our future lifestyle requirements is really the crux of what we see as successful personal financial management. So this model helps you visualize that, helps you to see that, whether you're an advisor or an instructor in the classroom, you can utilize this to literally paint a picture of what is happening with your dollars as it moves through your hands. And we've found over the years that the light bulb kind of goes off. Kids see it, clients see it, they understand it in a way that they were unable to before, and that's been really awesome for us to be able to provide that ability for these different segments of folks. We are just starting to put it into classrooms and that kind of thing. Homeschool has latched on this pretty big. It's taught in high schools throughout the country. Dr. Calhoun at Florida State University was one of the first folks to adopt our curriculum. He saw the model, he was blown away. He said, "I've never seen anything like it." He wrote a book on economics. He's like, "Well, I'm going to put this to the side over here, and I'm going to use this model because of how important it is for students to be able to see and to understand based on what they see." So the model and our curriculum has become a central foundation for his entire personal finances, financial wellness education on the campus of Florida State University. So it's a big deal there. They've got tents and tables. They do workshops throughout the week. They have student-led. You can talk to a student. In order to be on this team, you have to have graduated his course going through our personal finance curriculum with an A. But he hires students to then speak with other students to lead these workshops. He's got other faculty sitting in on these workshops. So there's a real thirst for knowledge. We also have companies that you've heard of that are involved in selling financial services. They are utilizing this curriculum to educate their workforce to provide the foundation of financial understanding that they can utilize to then raise the level at which they're able to communicate with their clients coming in. So it's been neat to see the progression from where it started to where it's going and where we hope it'll go in the future. So
we'll go through a little bit about the model itself, and you can get your employees can purchase it themselves, and we'll talk about the price. It's really like nothing, in my opinion, as far as the cost, but the investment can be worth hundreds of thousands or millions. One of the things that you guys have put together in the tanks, they picture these pictures, and one in the personal economic model. One of the talking points, James, is if your employer came to you and was willing to write you a check for the next 30 years, and you got all the income all in a lump sum upfront at one time, I would think that you would think about it a little. It's got to last you. You're committed. You're obligated to work here for whatever period of time. So whether it's 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, whatever the number is, you would think about it a little bit differently. You would want to manage and protect that. You wouldn't just go out and live paycheck to paycheck anymore, because if you blow through this paycheck, there's not a second one. But your thoughts about that visual, that this mindset of the tanks, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean that's what we were talking about with a finite amount of income. Your income is not going to last forever. You have a certain period within your life that you are able to generate an income, and I think with the way that income comes to us, whether weekly or monthly, we once we are established, once we are able to survive on our own, and that paycheck keeps coming. As long as that paycheck keeps coming, we're in a pretty good spot for the most part. We can leverage against that if we need to, but it's always coming. And I think sometimes we get blinded to the fact that perhaps one day it will no longer be coming. And what is our plan of action at that point? How are we going to deal with the reality of that situation when we get there? It's easier. The sooner you start, my dad always says, what's the best day to start preparing for your financial future? It's always yesterday. It's always easier yesterday than it is today, than it will be tomorrow. And so understanding that you've got this finite amount of resources at the end of the day, if you had all of those resources in a lump sum, would you treat that lump sum differently than you treat your paycheck? I think most of us, if we're honest, would probably answer yes. And, not that that's one way or the other, but if we don't understand the reality of the situation and the dangers that are inherent of making decisions along that way, we could wind up in a situation in the future that we're not prepared for, that we didn't envision. It wasn't the goal when we started. So how do we get to where we want to be in the future? In the future, do you want to live a lifestyle that is A, better than you live today, B, at least the same as you live today, or C, less than you live today? Most people answer A or B, but oftentimes our decisions, specifically with the way that we handle our finances and that monthly paycheck as it's coming through, might indicate that we are heading towards C and we don't even realize it. So that's an issue that we need to deal with. And again, the sooner that we deal with that, the less impact that it offers to our daily lifestyle and our ability to live the lifestyle we want today as well as tomorrow. And that balance is really what it's all about.
At Scale to Sell, we're out to educate the American employee, because I know it makes them healthier. They're less stressed. They accumulate wealth, and they don't bounce down the street and work for another employer or become a competitor or whatever. So we're trying to do that through the workplace. James and the team are trying to do that also through the school system. I think anywhere we can touch people and help them out. A little bit about the program and the time we got left right here. So if we have an employer, some employers are willing to pick up the cost and cover it for their employees. Mm-hmm. I find though that, I'd like for the employee to have a little skin in the game. And it's not like we're talking about a huge sum of money right here. And so they can go through the different modules. So maybe a little bit about the cost, James, and a little bit about the different modules. And they could do one lesson. I think they'll get something even if they just go through one video course, much less the whole thing. But a little bit about the dynamics about the program itself.
Sure. So just to start, we do have a free introductory primer if you're interested in checking some of these concepts and what it's all about. PemLife.org is our website. PemLife.org/unconqueredbydebt is our free introductory primer. It's a 5-part series that I think is hugely beneficial just for anybody. We want to see everybody go through that. But it just scratches the surface to some of the issues that we get into in our full personal finance curriculum. We do a self-study course specifically for professionals in the workforce. It's all of the educational content. It's equivalent to a 3 credit hour course at the collegiate level. However, we omit all of the kind of busy work and those things that require you to demonstrate your knowledge on the subject. We do include the quizzes so you can kind of test your knowledge retention, but that self-study edition, it's about providing that education, and the reward is that knowledge that you receive. And I think you'll be surprised at what you find in there. I think most people are surprised at what is packed in there. There's a lifetime of financial knowledge, not only from my father and his career, but his career educating financial advisors and getting the feedback from some of the best financial advisors and financial minds in this country. They are working together as a collective to make sure that we are saying the right things, that they are applicable in everyday life to everyday Americans. And it's massively, massively important. So you get over 64 lessons. It's $99, which in this day and age, I can't think of much that costs less than 99. Eggs are creeping up to $99, but
right.
Right. So we want to make it available and accessible, and what you'll receive from that will far outweigh that $99 investment. Like you said, even if you did the one session, but we've got 15 separate units. There's 64 individual lessons. You'll get access to all of that. And essentially it's how to make efficient financial decisions, looking at each and every aspect of personal finance, whether that be qualified plans or investments and savings, whether it's your mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. There's a wealth of knowledge and information that you could only previously get if you were sitting down with an advisor who understood these concepts to begin with. Now we're bringing that directly to the public, and I think it's a massive value add specifically for business owners to make this kind of investment in their employees, to have an eye on their future, and how important that is for them, helping them to be successful, not only with the paycheck and the job, but how do we use that paycheck efficiently to reach the goals where we want for the future?
I found out a long time ago, when I was younger, I had challenges with debt. I would have loved to know this information at the time. And I thought my answer to my problems was if I could just make more money. Well, it wasn't until I started learning these concepts that the light bulb started going off. And it wasn't that I didn't want to make more money, and now I do, but also you can make as much money as you want, but if you spend more than you got coming in, or you don't understand these strategies. So for your business owners out there, this is a really powerful platform. We're making, if you go to scaletosell.com/discovery, we'll make sure we get that link back to you so it's there. So you go, what do you say again? So if you didn't have a pen, scaletosell.com/discovery. We'll get you hooked up on that free trial, and then maybe we talk. Let's talk about how you can implement this and how we can help you implement it to get the most bang for your buck. Again, I think it could do a number of things. One is going to take the stress off your employees. And anyway, if their mind is not in the job, they're not productive. They're not as profitable for you. So there is that. They're not as healthy. They're calling out sick. And so when they're feeling better about their money and their bank accounts are going up and they understand why, when they're paying down or managing a debt, they know the difference between a liability and their debt and cash flow and any number of things, what they're going to learn through here. You'll start seeing, not right away, it'll take some time, but you'll start seeing a better attitude, again, more productivity. They're not going to call out sick. If you're providing healthcare insurance, I think there'll be an impact in that over time because it reduces stress. James Blanton, I appreciate you being on the Scale to Sell podcast today. And anyway, look forward to maybe getting you back into more detail, showing you some of those pictures, but they can do that through that free trial there at going to the scaletosell.com website. James Blanton, it's been a pleasure. We look forward to talking to you again soon. And let's change America. Let's educate Americans about how money really works. All right. Thanks, James.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to Scale to Sell with Adam Burton and Steve Burton. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.scaletosell.com or give us a call at 757-313-4080. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Scale to Sell. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing, tax, legal, or other advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professionals with any questions you may have regarding your personal or professional plans. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.